Check out flipsidegaming.com for all your gaming needs. Use the promo code HEROES to save 10% on all orders over $10. Hey there, this is John from Heroes and Legends, and welcome to another edition of the Magic the Gathering Market Watch. A lot to talk about today. Streets of New Capenna previews have had a huge impact on some card prices. You're going to see that throughout the video. Also, it is tax refund season. Some more expensive vintage and foil cards are moving. We're going to talk about that too. And there's a whole lot of other things going on as well. As a matter of fact, because there is so much happening in the secondary market, I did have to raise the threshold of this video from $2 to $3 this week. We're not going to talk about any card unless it's moving at least $3 up or down. Quickly, before we get into the details though, just a fast reminder, if you go to flipsidegaming.com, you can use the Heroes promo code to save 10% on orders over $10. Currently, you can pre-order Streets of New Capenna products there. They have everything you see on the screen as well as the Commander decks. Plus, they have a whole lot of other things on their website as well. Remember, if your order's over $100 or consists only of singles, shipping will be free in the United States. And whenever you use that Heroes promo code, it does support the channel, which is always appreciated, so thank you. And without any further ado, let's get into it. We're going to start off with the Standard Legal Spotlight. Of course, this is where we talk about the Standard Legal cards moving the most this week. Only one made it, though, so let's see which one. The Wandering Emperor. This is up $3.55 this week to $34.99. Now, this might be moving more because of Pioneer than Standard right now. Remember, Pioneer is the format for the regional championships this season, so if you want to get to the Pro Tour, you're going to have to play some Pioneer. Because of that, many players are scrambling to build decks now. First, though, in Standard, this is getting a ton of play. Mono White Aggro, Selesnya Midrange, and much more. In Pioneer, it's in Azorius Control, a very popular and successful deck right now in the format. It's also in 4-color Fires of Invention there. It gets Modern play too. It's in Azorius Control there, Bant Control, and more. Plus in Commander, it gets some play in Isshin 2 Heavens as 1, and other builds old and new. And that brings us quickly to the Pioneer Legal Spotlight. A lot to talk about in this section today just because of all the people trying to put together those Pioneer decks like I just mentioned. Let's see what's happening. We have Kalidas, Trader of Get. This is up $3.98 this week to $19.50. And Pioneer, this is in Rakdos Midrange, Mono Black Aggro, and more. Also, it does get Commander play in builds like Alper Markov, for example. Plus, Streets of New Capenna did add some support for vampires. Here are some examples of the Mythic and Rare spot. Throughout the video today, I'll be showing you some preview cards. I won't spend a ton of time on them, so if you are interested in reading them, looking at them closer, feel free to pause the video. The first 4 cards you're going to find in the regular Streets of New Capenna set. Now that 5th card, Mari the Killing Quill, that's one of the set booster rares, and we will be referring to that card again later in the video. It is making another card spike. And then the last card in Hello the Painter, that one is from the Maestro's Massacre Commander deck. Next is Temporal Trespass. It's up $4.64 this week to $35.71. Sure, in Commander, this is in various builds, including Yuriko the Tiger Shadow, and those have been popular recently due to the ninja support that came from Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. The reason it's moving the way it is now, though, is because of Pioneer. This is in Izzet Phoenix, and again, another popular and successful deck in the format that a lot of people are trying to put together. The Planar Chaos copy of Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth is up $5.67 this week to $44.06. And this did get added to the list with Modern Horizons 2. It stayed on through Crimson Vow. Now, this is a big Commander card, and it has seen more play now recently in Satoru Umezawa. But this time, Pioneer as well as Modern are the formats that are moving this the most. First off, in Pioneer, you're going to see this in Rakdos Midrange, Rakdos Sacrifice, and more. In Modern, this is in Mono Black Coffers, which has been putting up some good results recently and gaining momentum. It's also in Yawgmoth and more there. Legacy, it's in Golgari Depths. And this did get a Command Zone podcast mention this week as well, which could have brought some more attention to it. Thing in the Ice is up $7.16 this week to $17.75, again because of Pioneer. This is in Izzet Phoenix there. It's also an Izzet Narset Control, which did come in first this week in a Pioneer Challenge in MTGO, so a lot of people are looking at that deck now. In Modern, this is an Izzet Phoenix there, and it gets a little Commander play too in some Umbra Sphere Manifest decks, for example. Days Undoing on the move again. The copy from the list is up $13.72 to $31.96. That was added with Crimson Vow, and yeah, it's sticking around even into Streets of New Capenna. And the Magic Origins copy is up $15.24 to $33.99. In Pioneer, this is an Izzet Narset Control as well, and that is the main reason this came back to life this week. Legacy, this is in Jeskai Combo, and this is also getting a little Commander play here and there too. Rin and Siri inseparable. This last card in the section, not really moving because of Pioneer, but moving because of Commander. The non-foil copy, the one you would find in collector boosters, is up $14.49 this week to $37.25. The foil buy-a-box promo is up $19.17 to $37.98. Currently, this is a very popular commander, but Streets of New Capenna is bringing even more interest to this card because of some support for cats and dogs. Let's take a look at some examples at the rare and mythic spots. All of these have officially been previewed. The first 4 cards here are all from the main set. The one in the middle is the most interesting to me, Jenny Faye Jetmir II. Even though the card itself is an elf druid, not a cat or dog, the ability is pretty cool. If you would create one or more tokens, instead you get to create one of the 2 tokens that this card creates. One's a cat, one's a dog. And it doesn't say when you would be creating a creature token, so this would work with treasure tokens or food tokens. That 4th card, Rigo, Streetwise Mentor, does not share color identity with Ren and Siri, but I thought I'd show it to you anyway. And then the last card, Kit Kanto Mayhem Diva. That one is from the Cabaretti Cacophony commander deck. Perhaps Ren and Siri might be a good upgrade for that. Time for the Modern Legal Spotlight. I have 1 card going down in value, believe it or not. The rest are going up. Greater Oromancy is down $4.49 this week to $67.49. Now this is in Modern Enchantress. It got hot recently though because it was seeing increased commander play thanks to the enchantment focus in Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. It was in revitalized Sithis Harvest hand builds. Also it was in new decks like Goshintai of Life's Origin and Lightpaw's Emperor's Voice. Now the market is starting to move on. Gemstone Caverns from Time Spiral up $8.50 this week to $46.13. Now this was added to the list with Adventures in the Forgotten Realms, and it is still there as we move into Streets of New Capenna. It is a solid commander card in some builds that are seeing more play now that Lurrus of the Dream Den has been banned in the format. You'll see this in Crashing Footfalls, Dredge, Glimpse Combo, and more. It also does see a good amount of commander play too, sometimes in Yuriko. Time Civ, 3 copies here. Alara Reborn up $6.78 to $10.25. Mystery Booster up $7.69 to $10. And the Double Masters copy up $9.32 to $11.59. This is a solid commander card in a number of builds, including Brea Ethereum Shaper, which is getting reprinted in the Showcase Streets of New Capenna Gilded Foil Secret Lair. The reason this is moving now, though, ties into some recent preview cards. The set is giving us some cards to make this better, and in some cases you can get an infinite turn combo to go off. Here's some examples. I'm going to show you 3 cards. The last card on this slide has not officially been previewed yet, but we did see it because it's on the back of a commander deck. The other 2 have been officially previewed. Those are Horde Hauler and Bootlegger Stash. I do think Bootlegger Stash, though, is a very easy way to go infinite with this in Commander, maybe even other formats. Tivit Seller of Secrets is another option, and that card is found in the Obscura Operation Commander deck. Picture's a little blurry because that's the one that came off the back of the Commander box. Ultimately, Time Civ could be a good upgrade for that particular Commander deck, assuming it's not reprinted there, and considering how well it works with Tivit, I would be kind of surprised if Time Civ was in that product. Hellcarver Demon, this is up $14.70 this week to $16. Traditionally, this just has seen a tad bit of commander play here or there, but it is moving like this now because of a Streets of New Capenna preview. Although, again, this card has not been officially previewed. This is another card we saw on the back of a commander deck. So let me show it to you real quick because it is making a big impact on not just this card in the Market Watch, but a number of other ones too. The card is the Beamtown Bullies. So it is blurry, just real quickly though. Remember, it can only target a non-legendary creature in your graveyard, so that's important. But it basically gives that creature to the opponent of your choice, and then it goats it, and at the end of the turn it has to be exiled. So this card is coming from the Riveter's Rampage Commander deck, and a lot of people are looking at this and thinking of a lot of different creative things to do. One of which, of course, is giving away Hellcarver Demon and forcing it to attack. Now that might work best in a 1v1 commander game where that interaction could really lock out an opponent potentially, but I'm sure you're going to see that combo show up in traditional games as well. Like I said, throughout the video today, we're going to be looking at cards that are moving because of the Beamtown Bullies. This one, though, not moving because of Commander, it is moving because of Modern. This is Wargate. The Alara Reborn copy at $14.81 to $20. The Mystery Booster copy at $15.20 to $19.95. So first off, yes, this has seen some increased Commander play recently and some Goshintai of Life's Origin builds, but Modern is what's pushing this right now. The reason it's jumping is because it is part of a new Wargate Modern deck. Typically, that deck is going to run 4 copies of this, as well as 4 copies of Tamishi Reality Architect and Lotus Bloom. Those cards create a mana engine of sorts, and then Cultivator Colossus, typically they'll run some copies of that to just keep it going. And the finisher is usually Finale of Devastation. Now this deck has been floating around for some time since Neon Dynasty came out, but it has been gaining momentum recently. We will have to see how well it does in the meta when players are expecting it, but right now it is performing very well. Last card in the section is Scarblade Elite. It is up $17.50 to $17.99, and yes, I think I see a Morningtide rare that's yet to be reprinted. It's been a long time, but I'm going to use my one per video here. During this time period of Magic, there was a recession in the game, less packs were cracked, so rares from this time, they tend to get a little spiky if they haven't been reprinted yet, and there's a little attention on them. That's what's happening here. So what's causing the attention? Well, it is a preview card that we saw earlier in the video, Mari the Killing Quill. A lot of players are planning on building assassin decks around Mari, and this is one of the harder to find cards that could be good in one of those builds. And that takes us to the Vintage Spotlight. This is where we talk about cards that see play in Legacy, Vintage, 93, 94, or cards that are just popular among collectors. And as always in this section, the prices you see on the screen are going to be a little more reminiscent of what you might see on a price tracking website, simply because for a lot of these cards, they don't see a lot of sales in any given week, so we do have to lean a little harder on asking price. However, if true sales are not lining up with the price you see, I'll point that out. Remember too, when it comes to the more iconic older cards in this section, typically the price you see on the screen is going to be somewhere in between a high-grade raw and a high-grade graded copy price. Notice in this week's section, you're going to see a lot of unlimited cards moving, a lot of dual lands moving, even a couple Power 9 cards, and you have to remember, this is tax refund season. I do think a lot of Commander players are getting tax refunds and thinking about maybe picking up one or two dual lands if they can. But let's jump in and see what's happening. Starting with Krakus. This is the one from Ultimate Masters. It goes up $3.83 this week to $44.63. And this is banned in Commander, so that format's not moving it, but it does get a lot of legacy play. It's in Death and Taxes, lands, and much more. Vintage, you'll see this in Orzhov aggro and Prison aggro. Our first dual land of the day, Bayou from Revised, up $5.67 this week to $535.36. Scrubland from Revised, up $6.38 to $3.65. Volcanic Island from Revised, up $6.76 to $779.99. Tropical Island from Revised, up $7.76 to $677.56. City of Traders, this one's up $8.65 to $289.68. In Legacy, this is in a number of decks, Sneak and Show, Painter, much more. Also, it does see some Commander play too. It is expensive, but I have seen some people use this as an upgrade to the Buckle Up Commander deck, which is very popular, or some would put this in fresh builds around a card from their Shourikai Genesis engine. Our first unlimited card of the day, there's going to be more. Granite Gargoyle is up $11.44 to $71.97. Island Sanctuary from Unlimited up $12.86 to $112.14. Taiga from Revised up $15.87 to $415.86. Demonic Hordes from Unlimited up $16.42 to $179.97. Sarah Angel from Unlimited up $16.60 to $118. Serenity, the 6th edition copy this week is up $18.06 to $28.39. It is in some legacy sideboards to bring in against Urza Saga or problematic artifacts and enchantments in general. You do see this in Death and Taxes as well as Reanimator. Savannah Lions from Unlimited up $18.20 to $175. Counterspell from Unlimited up $21.50 to $102.50. Mox Diamond from Strongholds up $42.32 to $687.49. It's in Legacy Lands and Naya Depths. It also gets a good amount of Commander play too. It can show up again in Yuriko, and another expensive card that I have seen people use to upgrade the Buckle Up deck or put in a fresh build around Shourikai again. Tundra from Revised up $49 to $5.99. Mishra's Factory. Now this is the Antiquities Summer variation that you see on the screen. It is up $60.76 this week to $190.73. Lord of the Pit from Unlimited. This is up $91.10 to $140. Badlands from Unlimited up $91.95 to $732.45. Now I've actually seen high-grade raw copies sell for over $900. High-grade graded copies can go for even more. Savannah from Unlimited up $107.41 to $874.97. Plateau, the revised copy up $508 this week to $349.99. That unlimited copy up $237.65 to $1,070.46. Underground Sea from Unlimited up $247.42 to $1,539.99. I have seen high-grade raw copies sell for about this price. High-grade graded ones can go for more. Mishra's Workshop up $673.46 this week to $4,685. Ancestral Recall from Unlimited up $760 this week to $7,000. I always say this, but when it comes to Power 9, very few sell any given week, so the price jumps and dips you see are typically tied into the asking price of the cards that are for sale that week, and of course that's dependent on the card grades or if they're graded or raw. Long story short, pretty hard to track Power 9 values. Basically, they're worth what somebody's willing to pay at the moment. The Tabernacle at Pendrell Vale is up $1,428.29 this week to $5,996.99. Is that for real? Well, this price is closer to what you might expect to pay for a high-grade graded copy. High-grade raw copies usually sell for about $3,500 or so. And our last card in this section, same story. Black Lotus from Unlimited. It is up $1,970 to $19,250 in theory anyway. That brings us to the Commander Spotlight. Now, all the cards in the section are moving at least in part because of Commander. In some cases, though, there's going to be other reasons for them to move, and I'll point those out as we go through. Ancient Tomb, the copy from the list. It goes up 303 this week to 7180, and this was added to the list with Midnight Hunt, sticking around into Streets of New Capenna. Huge Commander mana-based card, another nice expensive upgrade to buckle up, or something you might want to put in a fresh Shorikai build. Big Legacy card too, you're going to see this in 8-cast, Painter, Sneak and Show and more. Vintage, it's in aggro and prison shops as well as goblins, and this did get a Command Zone podcast mention this week too, which could have brought some attention to it. Phyrexian Negator. Now this is the dual decks Phyrexia versus the Coalition copy. This copy only comes in foil. It goes up 319 this week to 945. Gets a tad bit of Commander play currently. Sometimes you'll see this in like Blim Comedic Genius, for example. But this is one of those cards moving now because of the Beamtown Bullies. Viridian Revel. This is up 325 this week to 489. Now again, we have a card that has seen a tad bit of Commander play, but there's interest in this now because of a card previewed from one of the new Commander decks. This is in Riveter's Rampage, Vazzy Keen Negotiator. As soon as this card was previewed, there was some chat on message boards about Viridian Revel. Mox Amber up 328 this week to $50. This is in a number of Commander decks, including Yuriko and Sisay Weatherlight Captain. The Sisay decks that focus on shrines have been popular recently due to the new shrines in Neon Dynasty. Additionally, this got some increased Commander play in Rayhan Last of the Abzan / Yoshimaru Ever Faithful partner decks in Commander. Plus in Modern, you'll see this in Grinding Station, which has been pretty popular. It's also a Neo brand there. Malignus, this is the copy from the list. It goes up 334 to 748. This was added within Innistrad Midnight Hunt, sticking around into Streets of New Capenna now. And this copy just got a little dry online this week, so the price is inflating some. It does get a little Commander play in Xenagos God of Revels, for example. Mana Confluence from Journey into Nyx, up 334 this week to 3869. So sure, this gets a lot of Commander play in different mana bases. Many times you'll see this in Yuriko. Also, it's been getting some additional play recently in Hinata Dawn Crown decks. However, Pioneer is the key driver here. This is in Naya Winota, Bant and Azorius Spirits and more in that format. Also, it's in Modern Dredge, and in Legacy, it's in Lion's Eye Diamond Dredge. Palinchron up 351 this week to 7550. This has seen some additional Commander play recently in Satoru builds. Mana Bond up 362 this week to 2482. This is an older card that's yet to be reprinted. It does get a little Commander play in various builds, but Legacy is causing it to move this week. It is in a new variation of Legacy Lands, which has been popular in MTGO called 8 Mulch. Typically, those decks run 4 copies of this. Metalworker up 367 this week to 168.88, and this has seen a little more Commander play recently. It's another expensive card you could use to upgrade Buckle Up, or put in a fresh build around Shorikai. Goblin Wizard up $4 to $133.99. Again, a card that sees a little Commander play. Sometimes it's in Krenko Mob Boss, for example. But this is a reserve list card, and this could be the start of a targeted buyout. We'll have to keep an eye on it. Some might be specking on Goblins playing a role this year in some different sets and Commander products, including Commander Legends Battle for Baldur's Gate. Liliana of the Veil, the one from Innistrad, is up $412 this week to $86.80. And it does get some Commander play in like Turgid God of Fright / Turgid's Lantern, for example, but Modern is still the reason this is moving the way it is. The card was pushed out of Jund and Rakdos midrange decks by Lurrus for a long time. Now that Lurrus is gone, it's making a comeback. Aside from Jund and Rakdos midrange, this also sees play in the Rock there. Kozilek Butcher of Truth from Ultimate Masters goes up $439 this week to $75.74. This was on the list for a couple sets, Strixhaven and Modern Horizons 2, and it did see some increased Commander play recently in Satoru builds. In Modern, this is in Colorless Tron, sometimes Eldrazi Tron. Legacy, you'll see this in Mono Green Cloud Post. Tempting Worm up $456 this week to $599, another older card that's yet to be reprinted, and currently, sure, it sees a little Commander play. But now it's poised to see more because of a card we've been talking about a little bit this video already, and that is the Beamtown Bullies. Basically, if it's in your graveyard, you can give this to an opponent. Then you and your other opponents are able to put any number of artifact, creature, enchantment, and or land cards from your hand into play. Probably, again, especially interesting in a 1v1 commander situation, but I'm sure this will be decent in political or pillow fort decks in traditional commander too. Force of Will from Eternal Masters up 474 this week to 129.91. Highly played commander card. You find this one in Yuriko decks at times too. It's seen increased play recently in Satoru builds as well, and it's another expensive card to throw in that buckle up commander deck or put in a fresh build around Shorikai. And additionally, you know this, it's a huge legacy and vintage staple found in multiple builds in those formats. Maze of Ith, the original one from the Dark, is up $4.85 this week to $47. Now this is in a number of commander builds. In Legacy, it's in lands and Naya Depths. The reason it's moving though is because this is the original card, hard to find in good condition nowadays online, so there are players and collectors interested in it. Replenish up $4.91 this week to $129.95. This is great in enchantment-heavy commander builds like Sithis. It's also been getting additional commander play recently in Goshintai of Life's Origin, Lightpaws, and Setsuki the Living Lore. Archmage's Charm from Modern Horizons up $5.50 this week to $30.50. Get some commander play in various builds. Also, though, it is a highly played modern card. You'll see this in Murktide Regent, Azorius Control, and much more. Mox Opal, the Scars of Mirrodin copy up $3.14 to $73.92. Double Masters up $5.50 to $78.32. Another card you can put in the world's most expensive Buckle Up deck, or you can add this to a fresh build around Shorikai. In Legacy, this is an 8-cast Painter, the Epic Storm, and more. In Vintage, it's in Paradoxical Outcome, Aggro Shops, and 8-cast. Eladamri's Call, the original copy from Plane Shift, is up $5.55 this week to $17.11. Now, this is in a number of commander decks, including Sithis again, but the reason it's moving currently is because of Modern. It's in Elementals, Devoted Combo, many times 4-color Blink, and Selesnya Life Gain, but it's also one of the cards that you're going to find typically a 4 of in those Wargate decks that we talked about earlier. Lion's Eye Diamond up $5.70 this week to $5.59.95. This is in a number of commander builds, including Kess Dissident Mage. In Legacy, this is an Ad Nauseam Tendrils, Doomsday Painter, the Epic Storm, Azorius Bomberman, Madness, the Epic Gamble, and Lion's Eye Diamond Dredge too. Robe of Stars up $5.88 this week to $11.21. This is from the Adventures in the Forgotten Realms Aura of Courage commander deck, and this has seen increased commander play in Lightpaws. Also, Nitpicking Nerds mentioned this in a video this week discussing the top 10 equipment cards for commander. That might have brought some attention to it. Sword of Fire and Ice from Modern Masters up $6.23 this week to $69.49. This too has been seeing more commander play. It's a good upgrade to the Upgrades Unleashed commander deck, and some players use this in fresh builds around a card from there, Shishiro the Shattered Blade. In Modern, this can be found in some decks that are getting more play now that